video will show you how to use a free Google Sheet to help you manage your investments. First step is to copy it to your Google account. You can do that by going to portfoliomanager.info in your browser and click the link in the Quick Start section. If you have not already logged into your Google account, you can do so up in the corner, or you can create a new account if you don't already have one. It loads in view-only mode since it hasn't been copied to our account yet. So to do so, from this page, you would click File, Make a Copy, and click OK. After the sheet's been copied to your account, it'll reload, and it will load a help section in the right side in a sidebar by default. You can change the loading of the help menu in the right sidebar automatically on the help sheet in the settings section. Much of what I'll be covering is outlined in the help in the sidebar, so you can pause the video at any time to get more information in the relevant section. The first thing to do is to set up the sheet, as it uses a lot of scripts to automate the adding, deleting, and editing of accounts, symbols, and transactions. So to do that, you need to click up here at the Portfolio Manager menu and click Authorize and Set Up Scripts. And that'll ask you for permission to run this setup script. Click Continue. That'll load a window that summarizes all the authorizations that the sheet needs in order to run. All of these are detailed in the setup section as far as why each authorization is required. If you're curious, you can read about them over here. Otherwise, just click Allow. That'll begin the setup process for the scripts. While that's happening, a couple notes. Throughout the sheet, you'll see beige colored cell backgrounds. Those can be edited, whereas blue ones should not be edited because they contain a formula or information that the sheet needs. You also see pop-ups like this occasionally show up. Some of these can be disabled in the settings sheet in the appropriate section. So as you can see, the scripts have been set up. So we'll close that. The next step is to connect this sheet with a master sheet that contains some commonly used lists. To do that, go to the settings sheet and column AH10. Column AH and cell AH10. You'll see the sheet is connected, so there's nothing more we need to do in this step, but if it wasn't connected, you would click AH11 cell, and then you'd get a box such as this, and you would click Allow Access. Step 4 is optional. It's registration, which is free, fast, and easy. I'll briefly cover how to do that. You go to the settings sheet, you click this cell, and you type in a desired username. It'll check to see if it's available, and if so, allow you to select it, and that's it. Some of the benefits of registration are outlined in the help file, such as free basic technical support, expanded sheet features that require a username, such as uploading your transactions to appear on the user transaction sheet and the ranking sheet, allows you to create a user profile, and it provides a referral link so that you can refer people to the sheet and earn points. This is all explained again in the help file. The last setup step would be to change the name of the file if you like. You can do that by clicking up here and editing the name. So that concludes the setup of the sheet. Next up, we'll be taking a look at setting up some accounts, editing accounts, and deleting accounts. So the account sheet is where you can specify one or more accounts into which you can organize your investments. The sheet comes with one account by default called Example Account, which should not be deleted but can be renamed. The rest can be added below one at a time. Accounts can represent different accounts at different brokerages or different accounts at the same brokerage, or just used as a way to separate investments in the same account at the same brokerage. You can view the help section in the sidebar for more information, but I'll briefly go over editing and deleting accounts. So if we want to edit this account name, we double click and go ahead and edit it. That will edit the account sheet down here. Each account has a separate sheet. And let's change the name down here. Get a box confirming such. Now, if we want to add an account, we would click down here, put in 1, and click add, and then give it a name. Message indicating the account is being created and that it's been added. You can see it's right down here next to the first account. Add another. You can see it's down here as well. Now to demonstrate deletion of account, I'll add a test account. And after it's created, I'll go ahead and delete it. So you can see the new sheets down here. So to delete it, you look at the action column and you click the drop down menu, you select delete. Get a confirmation box asking you to confirm you want to delete the account. Click yes, and you'll see the sheet will be removed down here, as well as the row removed up here. And a confirmation box showing it's been deleted. Now these beige colored columns will automatically fill based on the default set on the settings sheet in the account section, but you can edit any of them and go over some of them briefly. What to include would be which investments to include on each specific account sheet. Visibility would be whether to hide or show the sheet down here. Auto order would be whether you want the rows in each sheet to automatically be resorted after each price update, and if so, which column to sort them by and which direction to sort them in. You can add any notes to each account, which would show up on the summary sheet, and whether you would like to keep track of any cash balance in the account at your brokerage if you make such entries on the transaction sheet. These three columns would show your allocation of investments by equities, bonds, and cash by %, and the next three would show the same by dollar amount. The remainder are just columns that the sheet uses internally. For example, the number of symbols in each account, number of transactions in each account, and the storage of the account name, which helps when you edit the account name. So you can create as many accounts as you need, and each time you create one, it'll create a separate sheet down here for them. The separate sheets are to show the investments just in that account. The all account sheet would combine everything in every account and show them all on one sheet. The summary sheet would show a summary of each account. So that concludes the accounts section. Next, we'll take a look at adding some symbols to each account. So once you have your accounts set up the way you want them, you can add some symbols to the symbol sheet. Sheet comes with one symbol by default, which should not be deleted, but can be renamed. The rest can be added below one at a time. In addition to the symbol, you need to specify the account to which the symbol is in. You can have the same symbol in multiple accounts, but only once in each account. New symbols are added below existing symbols. If needed, click the Add button at the bottom and add one additional row at a time. Symbols will be resorted in alphabetical order after adding one, so wait until it has been resorted before adding additional information. So I'll go ahead and add a few symbols. So after selecting the account, it'll go ahead and copy the formulas down from the previous row. Then I can go ahead and put in a new symbol. Get a message indicating to wait for the new row to copy down the formulas, and then for it to be resorted if needed. Now if you want to add symbols in bulk, check the Help menu for instructions in the Additional Info section and the Bulk Import section. And there'll be information on how to do that. This video will only cover adding them one at a time. So now that we've added the symbols, I'll explain some of the beige colored cells that can be edited. If you want to delete a symbol, click the cell and action column for that symbol. If you want to specify the security type, you can do so in this column. Any notes, which would appear on the account sheet for the row for that symbol. The next three columns would allow you to specify the company URL, sector, and industry. If you don't know them, if you want to retrieve any missing ones, you can click the down arrow in the top column and have it try and retrieve any missing ones. You can also specify a manual low target and high target, so you can be alerted to when a security reaches a certain price. You can specify the preferred purchase quantity and sale quantity, so in cases where your order isn't filled completely, you'll know how many you need to buy or sell on the next transaction to even out the number that you normally buy or sell. And the defaults can be specified on the settings sheet in the symbol section. For securities that pay a dividend, you need to specify the dividend payment frequency. And if you'd like to assign the security a rating, you can do so here. The ratings can be changed on the settings sheet in the symbol section. For example, if you want to use stars or numerical system. You can also retrieve any user ratings for these securities if any other users have rated them. That automatically updates every 30 days, or you can force it to update by going to the Portfolio Manager menu, the Symbols section, and the Retrieve user symbol ratings. If you want to retrieve symbol ratings from different sources, you can click this one here. So that covers entering symbols on the symbols sheet. The reason for this sheet is so that this information doesn't have to be repeated on the transaction sheet. For example, there's no need to repeat the company name, URL, sector, and industry when enter transactions. So the next section will be entering some transactions. So once you've added some symbols on the symbol sheet, you can add some transactions for those symbols. The sheet comes with 2 transactions by default, which you should not delete, but you can edit to represent your first 2 transactions. The rest can be added below one at a time. New transactions are added below existing transactions. If needed, click the Add button at the bottom and add as many rows as you need. So I'll go ahead and add a couple transactions. If I wanted to edit the cash that I started the account with, just type in a new number here. If you don't know the amount that your account had when you opened it as far as the cash, see the help file in the sidebar for the transaction sheet. It'll explain how to figure out your cash balance if you want to keep track of it. So, first thing to do is select an account. After selecting an account, the row from above will be copied down to the row you selected a new account from to copy any formulas. Then you can go ahead and select a symbol. If you type the first letter of the symbol that you want to add, it will pull up a list of symbols on the symbol sheet beginning with that letter. Then you can select it. Type of transaction. In this case, we'll select by, quantity, price, commission. You can customize this list to reflect the commissions from your brokerage account on the settings sheet in the transaction section. Then if this were a tax, a fee, or earned interest, you'd specify those here. If it's a split, you'd specify that there. For the cash transaction, you put in the cash amount there. The date is copied down from the row above, so if you need to change it, you can either just edit it manually or double click it and pull up, which will pull up a calendar, and you can select the day from there. If this is a sale, you can select the basis method for the sale, if it's as well as the accounting method. If you've requested a custom sheet and you're uploading your transactions to it, you can block any specific transaction from uploading here. Most transactions need to be processed. You can do so manually here, or if you're entering transactions frequently, you can set up automatic transaction processing on the settings sheet in the transaction section. That'll change the status of the transaction to processed, showing the status time. We'll go to enter in one other transaction. And we'll process it. Processing is relatively quick if you don't have a lot of transactions, but the more you add, the longer it takes. So as we add these transactions, you sheets for each account are updated to reflect the new data that's been entered. So we entered a new symbol for E-Trade. You can see it appears here now, as well as a transaction for TD Ameritrade, and you can see it shows up here. Fidelity transaction shows up here that came with the sheet that we didn't edit. Now when you have more than one account, as in this case where we have 3, you'll see an all account sheet which combines all the symbols from all the different accounts onto one sheet, as well as a summary sheet that combines the totals from each account on one sheet. The totals being row 3 on the specific account sheets on the far right, these columns. So as you update transactions and symbols, all these specific account sheets and the all account sheet and the summary sheet, if you have more than one account, will update. As far as the columns, just briefly cover some of them. On the specific account sheet, you have a symbol column, company name, which is linked to their website if you've specified such on the symbol sheet, a link to Yahoo Finance and Google Finance, which can be customized on the settings sheet in the specific account section, a jump to box where you can jump to a quote for the security or a history of the security as far as your transactions. When you click on quote, it can open up into the quote sheet or the sidebar depending on how you set it up on the settings sheet in the account, specific account, or I'm sorry, on the quotes section of the settings sheet. You can specify whether it opens in the sidebar or the sheet for the quote. Any notes will appear here. Any alerts would appear there. The sector and industry would appear here. Any rating you've assigned would appear here. Any user rating there, and so on. High and low targets, if they've been reached, will be color coded in increasingly darker reds or greens, and will appear in white text once they've arrived at the preset target. The other color codings are the 50-day moving average and 200-day moving average. When those are met, they will appear green or red. Green when it's exceeded the moving average, and red when it's gone below it. So the all account sheet has pretty much the same columns as the specific account sheets, except it specifies the account for each security, and they're ordered by default by symbol, just like the specific account sheets. So if you had the same symbol, 2 different accounts, you'd see 2 rows right next to each other with different accounts. And on the summary sheet, you have the different accounts, any notes that you specified on the account sheet for that account, and again the general header information from each account. So that concludes the transactions section. Next, we'll go over some of the specific sheets that may be of interest. This section will go over some of the sheets which are explained in more detail in the help file in the sidebar. Most of the sheets have sections on the settings sheet where you can customize them. The first sheet is a market sheet, which gives you indexes from around the world, different regions. There's nothing that needs to be edited on this sheet. The next sheet is a futures sheet, where you can look at futures in different categories. The only thing you may want to edit on this one is the currency futures, where you can invert the pairs. The next sheet is a summary sheet, which gives you a summary of your different accounts, and the all account sheet, which gives you all your holdings on one sheet from all your accounts. These two sheets only show up if you have more than one account, as all the data is already on the individual account sheets. Individual account sheets will show up based on what you've entered on your accounts sheet. So as you add, edit, and delete them, the individual account sheets will update. The next sheet is a mover sheet, and this sheet gives you information on your most active holdings. For example, top gains by percent, by dollar amount, top decliners by percent, by dollar amount, largest volume increases, largest volume decreases, highest volume, lowest volume, and oldest trade date. And on the settings sheet in the movers section, you can change how many rows are displayed. Next sheet is a watch list sheet, where you can add symbols you haven't purchased yet but you want to keep an eye on. Just enter the symbol and any notes. And it'll load some general information about the security. If you need more than 10 rows, add one at a time so it can copy down the formulas. And if you need to delete any, just delete the symbol and any notes. The next sheet is a quote sheet. Here you can manually type in a quote for a symbol, or you can select a symbol from one you've already entered on the symbols page. It will fetch current information and any news. You can also show the quotes in the sidebar if you want. And you can look up additional quotes in the sidebar by typing in a new symbol or selecting one that you've entered on the symbol sheet. To clear the quote symbol, you can click here and select clear. Next sheet is a transaction sheet, which we went over in a previous section, and search transaction sheet. Search transaction sheet allows you to filter your transactions by an account and symbol. Symbol, account. You can jump to this page from any of your account sheets in the jump to column by selecting history. You can also jump to a quote by selecting quote. When you select quote, you can have it jump to the quote sheet or the quote sidebar, depending on how you set up the quotes section of the settings sheet. Next sheet is a symbol sheet, which we've gone over in the previous section, and the account sheet, which was also covered previously. The history sheet is next. You can filter your history by account or all your accounts, by period, start date, end date. You can manually update your history by selecting here. write the data in the last 3 columns, and then based on your filter, the information here will change. And that's what the graph is based on, the information in these columns, which changes based on what you selected up in the top row here. The next sheet is a taxes. This is designed to help you estimate your capital gains and losses on any securities you've sold, and you can filter it by different periods. You can also keep track of any tax payments you've made here. Next sheet is a user transaction sheet. This displays transactions that other users of this sheet have made that have chosen to share with other users. This updates automatically, or you can force it to refresh in this cell. In the first column, you can add a user to your include list or exclude list and view their profile if they've enabled that. Next sheet is a ranking sheet, and this ranks those users that have chosen to share their transactions by requesting a custom sheet from us, which is basically a sheet to upload your transactions to. And you can set the order that these are sorted on the settings sheet, just like you can for the user transaction sheet. The next sheet is a tool sheet. It just has a couple tools on it to help you keep your data in consistent format in terms of accounts and symbols and transactions. Also shows some symbols with quantity 0, symbols that have recently split, symbols that split in the total history of all your transactions, and symbols that are bankrupt. The next sheet is a settings sheet. As I mentioned, this is where you can customize many of the different sheets. I'll briefly go over some of the sections. Registration section is where you can choose a username to register, edit username, or delete the username. Deleting the username deletes your registration. You can add profile information. The way to do that is to first select edit mode. Once edit mode's been selected, you can go ahead and edit any of these cells. And when you're done editing them, we click End Edit Mode. It's important you do this, otherwise the sheet won't function properly. I haven't registered on this demo, so it's not necessary to enter any profile information. But even if you do register, you don't have to enter any profile information. Over here is your public profile. You can set which information you've entered here, whether it should show or not, as well as some other options on your profile. Next section is a newsletter if you want to subscribe or unsubscribe to it. The next section is the points. If you register, you can earn points for different things. The next section is referrals. When you register, we create a custom referral link. and you can use that to refer people to the sheet, and those that you refer that register will earn you and the person that registered points. Next section is a custom sheet. If you want to expand some of the feature set of the sheet, you can request a custom sheet. The next section is just sheet keys. Nothing you need to edit in there. Statistics. Last updated temps for different areas. Next section is the styles. You can change the font, family, color, link color, size of header, size below header, background color, and chat window size. You can access the chat from the Portfolio Manager menu right here. Next section is the market hours. That's where you can specify the days of the week where markets are closed in your area and when they open and close. Next section is the market sheet. Specify which regions to show or not. The future sheet, which futures to show or not. The summary sheet. The all account sheet. These are some defaults you can set. These are some links you can set for the first two columns. You can change them if you want on the all account sheet. Here's where you would hide or show columns on the all account sheet. It's important to do it here, as hiding it here prevents formulas from calculating, whereas if you hide it this way, it doesn't. Do the same on specific account sheets. So defaults, links you can change, and the columns you can hide or show. There's a mover section where you can specify how many rows to show. The watch list. Specify how often it updates. Quote sheet. You can specify whether it opens in the sidebar or sheet when accessed from the Jump To drop-down menu on the all accounts and specific account sheets. Transaction section. You can specify whether a warning shows when you add a new row. Specify your commissions that show up. What your default basis and accounting method is, whether to fetch the dividend amount automatically when you enter a dividend, whether to enable transaction processing in the background and how frequently to do it. If you request a custom sheet, whether you want to upload your transactions. And here's some details about the symbols sheet. Whether you want to automatically remove ones with zero quantity. You can specify the default purchase quantities. Turn off some warnings. How often to update the user ratings. The default format of ratings. If you want to import some ratings, you can do that here, as well as how many days before user ratings are updated. trim the company names, sector names, and industry names to certain lengths. Here you can set how your high targets and low targets are determined. Select manual, 52-week high, average cost for high targets. There's different options for low targets. Whether you want an email to be sent out when a high target or low target is reached, and the frequency that those are sent out. The data sources are the different sources where market data is retrieved. So the sheet comes with a few different data sources. You can change those for different columns here. Not all columns are available from all sources, so you can go through and see which ones are available for each source, or for each column. If you're not selecting Google, which is source 1, then you can specify how often the pricing data will update here. And here's some information on the different sources available. Some sources may require an API key, and there'll be a place to enter those. History sheet, you can turn on or off automatic recording, how often to record it, prune history older than a certain number of days. Taxes, you can change the percentages that are used to calculate capital gains taxes, and when your quarters start and end. User transaction sheet, you can change how often it's refreshed, number of results to display, the order by and sort by, usernames to exclude and usernames to include, which apply both to user transactions and rankings. Rankings and user transaction options are pretty much the same, other than the sort, the order by columns are a little different. Some of the sheets don't have many options other than showing the sheet or hiding the sheet. You want to make automatic backups of your sheet to Google Drive, which I recommend. You can set that up here. You have a link here to your Google Drive folder where all your backups would be. Versions, you can specify when to be alerted when new versions of libraries, scripts, hotfixes, or sheets are available. Issues, you can specify how they're sorted, same as suggestions. You can be alerted to new sheet news when you open the sheet. Links, you can specify the order by and sort by, and whether you want to show them in the sidebar or not. And help section, you can turn on or off the loading of the help into the sidebar automatically on open here. You can show a tip on open here, and alerts on open here. And then the last two columns, you can enter your own custom settings if you like. So the next sheet is the backups. Backup sheet just shows you a review of any backups you've made. Version sheet shows you the versions you're using for libraries, scripts, hotfixes, default sheets, and account sheets. If they're up to date, you'll see a green background. If there's a new version available, you see a red background. Shows shows the sheet version or library version or script version or hotfix version you're using when it was released. You can manually update them, force them to update by clicking these links, although they should update automatically. So there's both stable and beta versions available for everything, and these show you what's currently available in each category and what type of update option is available, either manual or automatic. So the last columns is where you'd specify how to update each. So for example, for libraries, which is the first section, you need to go to Tools, Script Editor, Resources, Libraries. So that's up here, Tools, Script Editor, Resources, and Libraries. And here's where you'd select the most current version and then click Save. When a new script is available, you would click here for the beta version or here for the stable version. And essentially you'd copy everything, highlight everything, copy it, return back to your sheet, go back into the script editor, highlight everything, select all to highlight, and then paste everything, and then save. That'll update your script file, which is code.gs, which are basically just a bunch of functions that reference a lot of the library functions. The hotfixes can be applied by just selecting stable or beta hotfix. The default sheets, you can either select auto update to stable, auto update to beta, or manual update to stable or manual update to beta. Auto update will do everything automatically. Manual update will just copy the newest version of the sheet to your sheet, and then you can manually make the changes based on the information in the change log, which we'll get to in a minute. The next sheet is a change log, just keeps track of changes that have been made over time since you've gotten the sheet. Shows the new version, whether it applied to the stable or beta versions, the change type, sheet name changed, cells changed, importance, and any notes, and any code if needed. You can filter what's displayed in these 5 columns. Next sheet is the issues sheet. This keeps track of any issues that are open or confirmed or fixed. If you register, you can vote on issues that are important to you in this column. Suggestions, similar to the issues, keeps track of suggestions that have been submitted, whether they've been implemented or not. Sheet news keeps track of, allows you to track what's going on with the sheet, any news about it. Links has links to finance related sites, sheet related sites, and if you want to add any of your own, you you do that by editing or adding your links here. You can edit the category names, and whatever you do in this section over here will reflect in here. So you don't need to edit anything in this section here. It'll automatically change based on what you do in all this section over here. And you can show your links in the sidebar. You can also change the sort order. You can specify the order in each category, and after doing so you can tell it to resort them here. So here's the links in the sidebar. If you add any custom links, they'll show below. The help sheet just has some links to documentation, which is the help file. Which will open in the sidebar. You can open it in a browser if you like up here. You can open some tips. Chat, contact form, some links to some sites. Portfolio Manager menu allows you to run some scripts, update account sheets, record account history, quite a few things in the symbols section. Process pending transactions, update user transactions, upload my own transactions, sort transactions, rankings, you can update issues, you can update, report an issue, suggestions, update suggestions, send suggestions, links, utilities. If you have a spreadsheet from your broker or otherwise, you can add symbols and transactions in bulk by going through this section here. That's explained in more detail in the help file. Some links, different sections. If you need to get in contact with us, click Contact Us. Fill out the form. If it's regarding an issue, you may want to attach some sheet information that will help us help you. You can uncheck any boxes if you don't want to send any of that information to us, or if none of it, just select no. Enter your name, email, and message, and click send. So I think that about sums up all the sheets. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, or just get in contact with us. And please subscribe to this channel for any more videos we may post. And give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks for watching.